Today is April 19, 2025. It's the 30th anniversary of the Oklahoma City bombing, which before 9/11 was the biggest terrorist attack to ever occur on U.S. soil. And I was there. I was working right down the street from the Murrah building, and when the explosion went off, the windows in the building I was working in blew out. I ran down there. I was there minutes after the bomb went off, and it was absolute pandemonium. It looked like a war zone. It was terrible. 168 people were in that building working that day in the morning, and there were 19 children in the daycare center on the bottom floor. It was a horrible time. That night, we had a thunderstorm in Oklahoma City, and they didn't know who blew up the building. They thought they weren't sure, no one was sure what happened. And every time the thunder hit really hard that night, we all thought we were being bombed. It was very scary. So the man they found out who did this, of course, was Timothy McVeigh. And this is really what I learned from this event. Timothy McVeigh, when he was interviewed, said he had no regrets for killing 19 little kids in the daycare center and 168 total people who were innocent people who were working in that building, because Timothy McVeigh had built up this hatred over a period of years for the U.S. government. And this hatred eventually turned him into one of the biggest mass murderers in U.S. history. This is not something he was born with. He wasn't born an angry person. He lived a pretty normal life. But that's what hatred does. It builds and it builds and it builds. And we're seeing the same thing right now with the Trump administration. Trump is basically telling the United States citizenry that you can only trust him. You know, the media is lying to you. Everyone's lying to you. The judges are crooked. The lawyers are crooked. Everyone's wrong about everything except Daddy Trump. Trump knows all, and he wants you to hate the media, hate the lawyers, hate the judges. I mean, you just listen to him every single day. This is hatred, and this is building and building and building, and unfortunately, there's a lot of gullible people in our country who believe this. They're actually believing a con man, a pathological liar who's lied his entire life, and there's a 60-year track record of Trump's lies. He lies every other time he opens his mouth. I mean, it's almost amazing when he tells the truth. This hatred is building and building and building, and it's got to stop. It's got to stop. Trump must be pushed out of office, and all the people that are supporting him need to be pushed out of office too, because the hatred is building. That's how things like Oklahoma City happen, because it builds and it builds and it builds. And understand, Trump is making these things up, just like Timothy McVeigh did in his mind, which led him to kill 168 innocent people. When people say, I've talked to the press, I did an interview on the BBC about Trump a couple weeks ago, and they said, how dangerous is he? And I said, he will kill en masse eventually, because the hatred is building, the hatred is building, the hatred is building, and that's what ends up happening. This is how wars start. This is how terrorism starts. And he's affecting a lot of people, and a lot of undereducated people in our country who live in rural areas who think that Trump is telling them the truth, and people are going to die if this hatred doesn't stop, just like they did in Oklahoma City. It's something to consider, because it is literally building every single day. Trump must be stopped, just like they stopped Timothy McVeigh.